Before I start anything, I just want to like thank everyone for the support I got off the last video, because that is like infinitely more than what I was expecting, and all the comments of people enjoying, like, it made my day, so thanks. And I'm sure you've all already noticed, but this footage is unbearable to watch, and that's because this is me playing the game. I wanted to record my own footage, but I'm pretty terrible at this game, so enjoy that. I won't waste time on an intro because chances are you've all already seen the last video, and if you haven't, go and watch it because I'll only be covering the retro courses in this video. But before we get into this ranking, we have to correct some mistakes made from the last one, because some of you did comment anything I got wrong last video, so I'm gonna fix those errors and then we'll rank the retro courses. If you want to skip the corrections and just see the new list, then go to this timestamp. This person begins by saying the chain jump on Mario Circuit probably doesn't dock it down to take caution, as you could simply drive around it. Yeah, I already knew that I'd been way too mean to Mario Circuit when making the last video, and the only reason I didn't change it back then was because I took so much pride in this chain jump edit and I didn't want to make it any less valuable to the video. But I did go back and test it in Mario Circuit myself, and yeah, he was right. You can just literally drive around the chain jump and it will never get you. So to be honest, it kind of makes me want to put this map up to I could drive this, because now that this chain jump part is pretty much gone, there's nothing actually in this map that could stop you from driving it. This was the only risk, and it's gone. He also makes a very good point about Wario's gold mine, saying that even if you were to land this jump that's already very hard to land, you would probably go through the floor. And it does make sense, because driving on this track would just be like driving on floating train tracks. I mean, this track is just intended to be driven on by minecarts, so it definitely couldn't support a car landing on it from a 20-foot drop. So any hopes of this map ever being drivable was just lost. Both of the people who made corrections also made a point on Grumble Volcano and the fact that it's in a volcano. I honestly have nothing to say about this one. I'm just more surprised that I didn't realize this when making the video, but obviously the conditions of a volcano are too harsh to drive in, so it is a you will die to. So he makes this point about Moonview Highway, saying that there's other drivers there, so it's safe, but to me, the only reason Moonview Highway is in take caution is because of those other drivers. You are driving on a road with people who show no remorse to blatant murders, and it's not even like they're just savage, they'll kill you for no reason. And it's not like they're just selfish drivers, they are just genuinely really bad drivers. To me, there's no world where this is a completely safe map, so I'm gonna keep it in take caution. He also says Bowser's Castle should be impossible for the same reason Grumble Volcano is impossible, but I am gonna have to disagree with that. Realistically, Grumble Volcano is definitely a much hotter map than Bowser's Castle is, because one is an active volcano, and the other is just a castle with lava in it. I'm obviously not trying to underplay the heat, I'm sure it's hot, but it's not like you're gonna be in there longer than a minute. Cars obviously don't respond well to overheating, but you won't be in this room long enough for it to make a drastic change to your car. This person makes the point that the moles in Moo Moo Meadows could jump into your engine and break it, and while I didn't initially think about the moles, I don't think a mole possesses the power to jump through the hard metal of your car and wreck your engine. There's also the fact that the moles make it very obvious where they are, so I think the worst that would happen is you would flatten the mole. From a moral standpoint, maybe this map is completely undrivable, but this won't make any big difference in our ranking. The final point made says that in Cooper Cape, the electricity meeting the water will electro-wet the car and electrocute you instantly, and I did agree with this point at first, but after thinking more about it, the rubber of your cars would probably resist the electricity, so I'm going to keep Cooper Cape in pretty undrivable. So that was it for the changes. Overall, I don't think there's been any drastic differences. We've only changed 3 maps around, but now that that's done, we can actually start ranking the retro courses. The first one in our cup, Peach Beach, doesn't have many threats. The only thing in this map preventing it from being an I could drive this is the cataquakes. I don't know how much strength a cataquake possesses, so I have no idea whether this thing could actually flip your car 15 feet in the air. Even if it could, there's not enough here to make it a difficult hazard to avoid because it's pretty slow, but it's still a potentially dangerous hazard that you could fall victim to if you're not careful. So I'm going to put this map in pretty drivable. Yoshi Falls might just be the most undemanding track in the entire game. The big drop in the middle looks threatening at first, but it's nothing but scenery because you're never going to have a reason to be this close to the drop anyway. Just drive on the outside of the track and you will be completely fine. Ghost Valley competes with Yoshi Falls on being the easiest map in the entire game. For such a scary and unwelcoming place, this track is really tame. Following the trend of every other map in this cup, there's nothing here, and it's even more evident with Ghost Valley. It's an obvious I could drive this. N64 Raceway. Can't be fucking arsed with this boring cup anymore. I could drive this, okay? Sherbetland would be an actually difficult one, I imagine, because, well, I don't think I have to explain why, but you're driving on ice, and obviously there's not going to be any friction between your wheels and the ice. But this map could either be take caution or I could drive this, and I think it'd be better off being answered by someone with actual driving experience, which I don't have, because I don't know how well a car would cope on ice like this. I don't know if it'd make it completely undrivable or if you just have to be careful. I'm just going to use my logic and imagine that if you're driving slow enough, then your car would be able to remain like intact with the road, if that makes sense. There are also the penguins, which are pretty unpredictable hazards, so that is something else making it marginally more difficult, but to be honest, I don't think the ice on this map makes it completely undrivable, or I don't even think it takes it down to take caution. I think this is a pretty drivable map because if you're driving really slowly, which isn't against the rules, it would be pretty easy, I imagine. The thing preventing this map from being in I could drive this is just how horribly cars juxtapose with ice. You will have no friction on this map. It's going to be pretty hard to handle your car, but that being said, just stay on the outside and you'll be fine. Shy Guy Beach is just, it's another map with nothing in it. Like, there's cannonballs, there's crabs, there's fucking nothing here that would stop you from being able to drive this. Like, maybe if these cannons exploded on impact, but for some reason they just stay there for a while. Why? Why did Nintendo make their retro courses just so dog shit easy? Like, I came here thinking there'd be funny abnormalities in maps, but there's just nothing. There's no challenge. This course isn't pretty drivable, by the way. These cannonballs are pathetic, but they could land on you, so that is one morsel of difficulty. I just hope that some of the courses from now on get a bit more challenging and fun to rank. The only thing on this map worth mentioning is these boost pads on the drawbridge that you'll just have to look out for. I don't know what to say. I need this video to be longer than 6 minutes, so things like this are getting mentioned. About 9 minutes into the video and we finally got a map where we have something to talk about. Waluigi Stadium is a stunt arena which do exist in real life and everyone knows they take a lot of skill to drive, so we already know that it's not going to be impossible. And actually, for a stunt arena, this map is kind of tame. It's obviously not easy to drive, but accounting for every single hazard in this map, there's only like 2 big jumps that serve as actual threats. Like, yeah, there is fire here, but you're going through it at a pretty high speed, so you will not react to the fire. These piranha plants come out pretty slowly, and you can avoid any of these wall boost pads. It's still gonna be put in take caution because there's no world where a stunt arena is anything above that. There are only 2 hazards in this map and they're both very avoidable. The pokey is something I've already covered in my last video, but pretty much it only moves left to right and it's really slow. And the fire snake is a bit more unpredictable and erratic than the pokey because it seems to have a free will, but it's still very easy to avoid. So I could drive this. GBA Bowser's Castle would be I could drive this if not for this part right here. This part would require some precision, but it's not anything outrageous. It's only being able to approach these jumps at the right angle and gathering enough speed before each jump. You also have to time it well enough so that you don't hit these fireballs that jump out of the lava. Now this isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's enough to take it down to take caution. DK's Jungle Parkway is an actual impossible one, at least I'm pretty sure it is. I say that because of this jump right here. This jump does have the properties of a cannon jump, but I'm not going to say it's a cannon jump, and that's because, one, obviously it's not a cannon, but there's also the fact that in comparison to other cannon jumps, this one covers way less distance, so in that regard it's a little less bullshit, but it still has characteristics that wouldn't work in real life. For example, no matter what speed you're entering this jump at, you always cover the same distance. But I'm not going to put this in You Will Die tier because unlike cannon jumps, this one looks like it could be doable. Although more times than not, you're landing in that water. The only hazard worthy of mention in GCN Mario Circuit is the chain jump. But this time I did learn from my mistake and went to see if you could just drive around it, and yeah, you can. So this hazard is useless. There's also piranha plants at this part that attack you when you drive past, but as long as you just drive down the center of the road, they won't be able to reach you. So this is yet another map that's in I could drive this. SNES Mario Circuit is literally just a go-karting course. That's all I have to say about this map. This is what a go-karting course looks and feels like, so it's very drivable. Peach Gardens homes a number of chain jumps, but the difference between these ones and the ones we've seen so far is that these ones are tamed and not aggressive, evident by the fact that they're not chained up. However, I'm not going to put this in I could drive this because there are a few narrow parts of this map and the chain jumps don't seem to care where they're going, so you still have to avoid them. Unfortunately, DK Mountain is an easy You Will Die because I've already purged it in the last video, and it's a shame because this map could have been drivable otherwise, but this cannon would kill you. To finish this video off, we've got N64 Bowser's Castle. Now, compared to the other Bowser's Castle, I think this one is a bit more tame. The aesthetic definitely makes this course look more difficult than it really is. Don't get me wrong, there is some pretty difficult parts, but most of the hazards in this map are pretty easily avoided. There are these thwomps here, but they take up like 1% of the room, and they don't really have a very unpredictable pattern. As long as you just wait them out, then you shouldn't get hurt. There's also this part with the erupting lava, but again, it's literally just a left to right pattern. The jumps themselves aren't even that hard, they just look it because of the lava and it makes it look more intimidating, but it's literally just a straight drive off of each ledge. So I would put this map in Take Caution. So while I was off camera, I just structured everything around so that the maps at the top of each tier are the most drivable in that tier, and at the bottom of each tier are the most undrivable in that tier. So to put that into picture, Rainbow Road is at the bottom of the tier list, so it's the most undrivable map in the game. And Yoshi Falls is at the top, so it's the most drivable map in the game. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I do hope to be making more videos like this on different games. For this channel, I don't want to stick to just Mario Kart. I want to cover a wider range of games on this channel, so if you think this is just a Mario Kart channel, I'm sorry, but it isn't. Anyway, I'm desperate for this to be out already, so thank you for making it this far in the video, and goodbye.